This is Veena from Cupcakes, the channel that's about baking and much more. Here's where you'll find quick and tasty recipes for new cooks and those with less time to spend in the kitchen. And if you're looking for authentic ingredient proportions and all the essential instructions for each recipe, you've come to the right place. Okay then, let's get cracking with today's recipe. Welcome back. Today I'm going to share with you my easy recipe for soft and tasty burger buns. It could be the easiest recipe for burger buns you've ever come across. Think burgers and many of you might instantly think of the ones you enjoy at your favorite fast food place. But watch today's recipe carefully and you could make burgers like this or even better ones at home without having to buy ready-made buns. Besides, I also have a bonus recipe for you. A quick one at the end. So keep watching this no-fail burger buns recipe brought to you by Cupcakes. The ingredients we'll need to make burger buns are all-purpose flour, milk, water, oil, instant yeast, sugar, salt, and an egg. The link to the ingredients and recipe details is given in the description box below. To a bowl, I'll transfer 3 tablespoons of milk. This needs to be warm because we'll be using yeast to help our dough rise, and yeast needs warmth to grow. But extra heat could kill it. To this, let's add a tablespoon of warm water and 1 teaspoon of sugar. Sugar is food for yeast. It activates it and helps it grow. I'll give this a stir to dissolve most of the sugar. Let's add half a teaspoon of instant yeast to this mix. If you're using active dry yeast, you could make that 3/4 of a teaspoon. I'll cover the bowl and keep it aside for just a couple of minutes. However, for active dry yeast, you'll have to give it around 10 minutes to get well activated. To another bowl, I'll transfer 1 cup and 3 tablespoons of maida or all-purpose flour. And then add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt to it. Let's stir this up to mix the 2 ingredients well and loosen the flour. I'll need just around half of this egg for today's recipe, and so I'll beat it lightly. Now we can add approximately half of this beaten egg and 1.5 tablespoons of oil to the yeast mixture. Let's mix this well with a wooden spoon. And then we'll add in the flour a little at a time. I'll now add the last of the flour. In many bun or bread recipes, you'll find you have to add all the liquid at the beginning and no mention of adjusting the texture of the dough afterwards. But then it's quite likely the liquid you add might be too much for the flour you measure and you'll end up having a very sticky dough. I therefore prefer adding a little less water to start with and then adding more of it or more flour later to get the consistency of the dough right. I'll now add 1 tablespoon of water as we need a slightly sticky dough. Now don't go by how much extra water or flour I'm adding, okay? You might need a little more or less of this. Just go by the consistency of the dough. I think that's all the water I'll need. So let's now transfer our dough to a clean work surface. I've added around half a teaspoon of dry flour to the bowl so I can clean it up properly. Now let's add these scraps to our dough. At this stage, I'll add 1 teaspoon of oil to the dough. You'll find that after adding in the oil, the dough sticks a little less to your fingers. We now need to press the dough down gently and draw it together again a few times to make sure there are no lumps of dry flour in it. Let's add around half a teaspoon of flour and continue working the dough. Add another teaspoon of flour or so if you need to make the dough more manageable. We have to knead the dough for just around 3 to 4 minutes, stretching it and folding it on itself till it becomes smoother. Remember, it should be soft, but the dough should be able to hold its shape. At this point, let me emphasize something crucial when it comes to using yeast. Whichever yeast you're using, make sure it's not past its date. Yeast that's too old will not get properly activated, and using it will only end in disappointment. Okay, now we'll smoothen the dough into a ball. Drizzle some oil inside the bowl we used earlier and transfer the dough ball to it. Let's drizzle some oil on the dough and pat it down a little. I'll cover the bowl and set the dough in a warm place for around an hour till it doubles in size. Now here's our dough after exactly 1 hour. Let's punch it down to release the trapped air. This first proofing could take up to 1.5 hours or more if you're using active dry yeast instead of instant yeast. Let's transfer the dough to our lightly floured bowl. Remember, you need to handle the dough very lightly at this stage. Just gently stretch and roll it up like this. Dust some more flour if necessary. I'll now eyeball it and roughly divide the dough into 3 parts. Let's shape each part into a ball, carefully pulling the sides down and tucking the ends underneath. Then turning the dough ball around, let's draw the pulled edges together to form a sort of small bundle. Smoothen the surface, turn the ball of dough around again and then set it down. Shape the other 2 balls in the same way. As you can see, the dough, though soft, can still hold its shape. Now, a gentle reminder here. I'll be posting new videos around once a week. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel as yet, I urge you to do it right away. The notification bell will alert you every time I post another one of my quick and tasty recipes. I'll transfer the balls to a butter paper lined tray, keeping a distance of around 2 inches between them. Let's flatten each ball slightly. I'll cover our dough balls with a napkin and keep them in a warm place again. The second rising could take another half an hour or so, more when you use active dry yeast. After 45 minutes, our dough balls have doubled in size. Let's brush their tops with some sweetened milk. This will give them a rich golden brown color once they're baked. Let's sprinkle some sesame seeds on the top of each bun, and then I'll transfer them to my oven, which has been preheated to 190 degrees centigrade. The buns could take 17 to 20 minutes to bake. Here are our plump golden brown burger buns after 17 minutes of baking time. They'll feel a little stiff in the beginning, but that's okay. However, the buns shouldn't be too dark brown at the bottom. You know the buns are done when they have this golden brown color on the top. While they're still hot, we need to brush their tops with melted butter. And then cover them with a napkin for around 10 minutes. This will give the buns a shine and also soften their crust nicely. Let's check the buns. Beautiful and so soft, just the way they should be. Okay, Let's cut one of the buns. Let's check the texture and see how it looks inside. Baked to perfection. It's now time for my bonus recipe. We'll make a quick and tasty scrambled egg burger. Let's begin by scrambling 2 eggs. Here I have 1.5 teaspoons of oil heating up on low heat. You could use butter instead. I'll transfer both eggs to the pan and immediately pour in 2 tablespoons of milk. Let's scramble this up. I like pieces of the egg white showing in my scrambled egg, but if you don't, you could lightly beat the eggs before pouring them into the pan. Finally, let's add around 1/4 teaspoon of salt. You could also add some crushed pepper to the scrambled egg if you want. So here's our fluffy scrambled egg. Here I've cut up a burger bun, applied butter to each half, and then lightly toasted each half on both sides. Let's add a base layer of scrambled egg to the lower half, followed by some chopped coriander, slices of tomato, some slices of cheddar cheese, and a slice of onion. Let's apply some salsa sauce to the other half of the bun. You could add red chili sauce or plain tomato ketchup instead. And that's it. Our tasty scrambled egg burger is ready. How quick was that? I agree it could be around 4 hours before you take the baked buns out of the oven. But you don't have to actually put in that many hours of work. The hands-on work involved will be less than 30 minutes. And if you do everything exactly the way I've shown you today, you will get the same results. Soon you'll enjoy making your favorite burgers at home and taking them to a whole new level with your easy to make at home, super soft burger buns. Hope you enjoyed today's video. But if you have any questions, do drop them in the comments box and I'll be happy to answer all of them. And yes, please share, like, subscribe, press the notification bell, and do stop by again for yet another quick and tasty recipe. Till then, take care, happy cooking!